Hello, everybody. Casual Dumpling here, and I wanted to quickly talk about the news which we received today. Blizzard actually announced the Season 2 for Diablo 4, and it's called Season of Blood. I'll be completely honest with you, I was not expecting to hear anything from them, any details about Season 2 so fast, so I was a bit surprised. I didn't know why they would do that, because we're like at the in the middle of season one, maybe. So, or maybe in even the early stages. But considering that a lot of people have are either quitting the game or they're a bit dissatisfied with the game, maybe this is some way for them to stop the exodus of players. But on the other hand, when I actually read what's contained in there, or what we can anticipate in the Season of Blood, that's how it's called, I'm not really that surprised anymore that they announced it, because there are some very juicy news in here, very, very welcome changes, which previously they did not announce they're going to actually work on or include in such a short time period. But I'm quite excited. So as for the season itself, it seems to be focused around vampires, and vampires in Diablo 4 are quite cool. They may be slightly annoying to fight due to the amount of crowd control they have, but other than that, I always enjoy fighting with vampires. Those are my favorite dungeons in Diablo 4, so I'm quite happy about that. But maybe let's actually go to the actual details, because the theme of the season is, it's a very subjective thing, so very subjective topic. So every person will have their own opinion, but what's the most important are actually the features they are going to implement, or at least they say at the moment they're going to implement. It's Blizzard, so you have to take everything with a grain of salt, but I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. They've already introduced a lot of good changes into Diablo 4, so hopefully they'll follow that trend. So there'll be a new quest line, the same as in Season 1, when we have to do the Malignant quest line, and we'll be able to unlock vampiric powers. So we'll kind of steal those powers from the vampires. How it will work, they did not provide any real details yet. I really hope it will be how should I say it? It will not rely on an item again. So I hope you will not have to sacrifice an item slot or a gem slot or anything like it. I hope it will be something in addition to your existing powers. So, for example, additional skill tree, or simply an additional ability in your skill arsenal. But we'll see. There'll be 5 endgame bosses, new and returning foes for additional endgame challenges. I'm loving it. I hope I will have an opportunity to face Andariel again. I'm anticipating the end bosses, so Andariel, Astaroth, Duriel, Brawl, and Elias. Lilith is already a pinnacle boss, so I do not expect another version of her. But those 5 will probably be returning. Better target farming for uniques and uber uniques. Probably those bosses will drop those uniques, and I think that's a great change. I think that was something which was missing from Diablo 4. I really like there are more activities to do in Diablo 4 in the actual world, even in the form of nightmare dungeons, compared to Diablo 2, when you would spend considerable amount of time just farming either Mephisto or Bale or Travincal, the Council and Travincal. Like, there's very limited farming spots. In Diablo 4, they are kind of spread out due to Hell Tides, due to Nightmare Dungeons, and so on. But I would like to be able to farm some bosses from time to time. So if they do not make them permanent, like maybe if they are present during an event or a window, like the world bosses are, like a timing window, then sure, that will be a very welcome addition to the game, and having a chance to actually obtain a uber unique would be fantastic, because I've played a lot of Diablo 4, maybe not as much as the streamers do, but if I compare myself to like a regular mortal being who has a job and a family, etc., then I did play a lot, and I have not seen a single one of them, which is a shame. I do not want them to be common, but I would like them to be special and obtainable. I think everybody who ever played Diablo 2, who started a new season and found their first Shaco, I'm always happy. I'm always incredibly happy when the first Shaco drops. And I can only imagine how the person who actually finds a Shaco in Diablo 4 feels, or even a grandfather. If I would be playing a barbarian and I would find the grandfather in Diablo 4, I would be so happy. Any of the Uber Enix. So yeah, make them rare, but make them actually obtainable. So we do not treat them like items which do not exist in the game. So two very nice changes. I like those two changes. Let's move on. Renown rewards. Rewards will carry over when completed on any prior character beyond Altars of Lilith and Mob Discovery. That's also another good change. Uh, any way for us to not do Renown again is good. I've done it in the Eternal realm. I've done it once in the Season 1, and I think that's enough. I don't want to do it again. It was good, but it lasted, at least in my opinion. I know a lot of people have issues with Renown. I don't have as many issues, although I understand their point of view. So, yeah. So I'm glad Blizzard is actually, bowing down and acknowledging those issues of those players. And I think that's a step in the right direction to please that crowd, to give them something they wanted. Potion, charges, skill points, obol, upgrades, and paragon points. All of that will carry on. So yeah, extremely good change. Very happy about that. They also will focus on things which are, in my opinion, the best part of the season 2, because there will be some quality of life changes. And if I have an actual problem with Diablo 4, well, I have a lot of problems with Diablo 4, but I'm still enjoying the game a lot, and I like playing the game. But if there is anything that annoys me, is the lack of quality of life. For example, lack of search function in the stash tab, like lack of filtering, lack of the fact that gems actually occupy so much of my space. So they try to address it. So let's quickly move through the changes. More efficient inventory management for gems. So what they mean by that is that gems will no longer take up inventory space. They'll most likely be stored in the materials sections. Fantastic change. Not sure why so many games are even dropping in the first place, because we don't use them for anything. Hopefully in the future they will use them when they introduce like a rune system or something like that. But at the moment, yeah, very welcome change. Changes the functionality of status effects such as vulnerable, overpower, critical strike damage, and elemental resistances. That is surprising to me, because we were all expecting elemental resistances changes because they announced them. I was not expecting overhaul of damage calculation mechanics. To be fair, I think they are necessary. To be completely honest, the way the damage is calculated is currently being calculated is terrible. There is such a huge gap and discrepancy between your normal damage and your critical damage, or your vulnerable damage, and God forbid you critically strike an enemy who is under the vulnerable effect debuff. Then it just skyrockets, and I can deal like 2,000 to 3,000 normal hit, and then I will crit a vulnerable enemy for 100k or a couple of 100k or even more. So the gap is huge, and they really should do something about it, because it just doesn't make any sense. Because you just have to stack crit and vulnerable in order to progress in the game at the moment. So I hope this will open some build possibilities which are now not really that viable, and maybe burn builds for sorcerers. Who knows? Because at the moment I don't think burn is that, at least from what I heard, that useful. So yeah. Elemental resistances, I'm also not sure how it's going to work, because if they're going to take some of our durability, which comes from armor, and then split it with resistances, then I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that at all, because it's already quite difficult to gear. And if they add elemental resistances on top of that, as yet another layer of defense, then that's going to be extremely annoying to gear. But if they keep it separate, if we will keep our durability coming from items as it is now, and on top of that, if we could build elemental resistances, I think that could be a good change. Not sure how powerful it will be, but we would have to sacrifice some of our damage, for example, to get that, or some of our quality of life affixes to get that. So I would be okay with that. If you need some extra survivability, you can go for it. But if you do not, you can run as you're running right now without resistances. So we'll have to see how they introduce that change. Overall, I'm kind of worried about how they will implement those changes, but I think those are necessary changes. And if you want Diablo 4 to grow, if you want Diablo 4 to be a good and successful game, they need to change things which are currently, well, not working correctly. Let's move on. Let's move further down the road to the other features they're going to implement in season 2, and that is stash can be searched and filtered. And oh my god, you cannot imagine how happy I was when I read that. That is a feature which should have been in the game from the very beginning, and it's such a needed feature because I store certain items and certain aspects in case I find an upgrade. I do not want to search for the aspect again, so I store them. And if you have couple characters, limited stash space, and now we also have the malignant hearts and etc., then it's quite tedious to scroll through each single item in the stash app in order to find the aspect you're looking for. So that is a great change, great addition, and I cannot wait. I'm liking what I see at the moment. When it comes to what's it called, quality of life. And there's also a trailer which I'm not going to play here. You can watch it yourself without me rambling in the background. So overall, in terms of actual gameplay, we did receive some new features coming and new powers coming from Season of Blood. I mean, we will receive, and also we will be able to fight endgame bosses and hopefully farm and target certain uniques. So in terms of gameplay, they're adding quite a lot, and I like what they're adding, at least from the description. And in terms of quality of life, they also are addressing some of the burning issues the community has with the game. So I'm also very happy about that. I don't know if should I give like a score system to that. I would give it like an 8 out of 10 at the moment in terms of just those features. I would also like to see some balancing issues addressed, but that would most likely come further down the road, and I cannot imagine them implementing the patch without some sort of rebalancing. Overall, very promising changes, very welcome changes. I'm happy about them, and I cannot wait for October, actually. Somehow my desire to play Diablo 4 at the moment diminished a bit because I would really like to play with the changes they announced recently. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much for listening. Please let me know what you think about the Season of Blood changes. Am I being naive? Am I being too positive about it? Probably, probably I am. But we'll see. We'll see. Have a good day and yeah, take care. Bye bye.